Hello everyone, this is HuskyStarcraft here, and as you can see my smiling face. You can also see my huge pile of laundry and lack of bed sheets because I'm doing a lot of laundry, but I randomly decided that I would cast a game where you can actually see my face because I'm always like, oh, I just did this, but you guys couldn't see it. So I figured I'd give it a shot. Let me know down in the comments below if it's something that you want to see, and if it's something that you absolutely hate and it's too distracting and you're just like, then let me know that as well. I'm just kind of curious on the feedback on if it's something I should continue to do. Now, I won't be looking directly at you guys the entire time because I do have to look at my screen down here, but you can kind of see me freak out. And my hairdo was so bad that I wanted to avoid all the comments about my hair, and I wore my little StarCraft hat that I got at the BlizzCon, or that I got at BlizzCon at the Jinx booth. And yeah, it's kind of fancy. It hides my ugly hair. And yes, I'm wearing a hat indoors. You guys are just gonna have to deal. Maybe I could like put it backwards or like off to the side. Here we go. No, that's just gonna drive you guys crazy. So anyways, this is game number 2. And spawning up here in the top right side, it is, of course, IdrA. Let's go ahead and turn on that. Turn on the production tab as well. And the map is going to be dual site. I have not introduced our Protoss player, though. It is going to be OGS's MC down in the bottom left side, and he is currently up a game after a pretty good performance than that last game. He kind of went for that 2 Stargate play, which is kind of a build that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to go as Protoss players. It's one of those builds where there's a lot of APM, and there's a lot of decision making that you have to make when you do that. It's kind of a situation where it can be a lot of fun. It may crush your friends, but if you're trying to get better on ladder, or you're trying to really figure out how to play Protoss very well, I personally think that that's a build that you kind of need to save once you are solid in your macro and micro, especially the micro. Because, again, if you do some damage but you have no army to fall back on, the Zerg player is just going to be like, okay, well, the Roaches and Hydras pretty good against nothing, and then they will end up killing you. So that's something to definitely look out for. We do see the Forge Fast Expand, also known as the FFE, which is short for Forge Fast Expand. Pretty crazy stuff, I know. Is going to go ahead and drop that down. And also as a Protoss player, one thing to pay attention to is the building placement. I don't think dual site will ever be on ladder, but watching a Protoss player, if they ever fast expand like this, look at exactly where they place their buildings, and I would recommend mimicking that because they are going to know best. He decides to go ahead and get his cannon after Nexus rather than getting it before Gateway. Oh, look at this from EG's IdrA. He did get pylon blocked here, so he's kind of like, well, shucks, there's not a whole lot that I can do to deal with this quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and secure this right now. And does our Protoss player know about it for sure? He has spotted it. So obviously he knows there's a couple Zerglings. He also knows where the expansion is. But for IdrA to do this, it's not the most surprising thing for me to see a player like IdrA do this. It is something that not every player would do, though. A lot of players would just kill this off and be like, all right, my expansion will be a little bit delayed. But other than that, I'm only losing mining time for maybe 10 seconds. And even then, it's not really losing mining time because you're going to be mining in the main base. It's not as efficient of mining, is how I would explain that. So it's not a horrible loss. What may be a loss is this Overlord if he doesn't move that, although the Cybernetics Core does get put down in a position where the Overlord can see it, so that's probably going to remind IdrA, I should probably move this Overlord at some point. We do see the third base down before that 5-minute mark, which is about as early as it gets. Now, was IdrA planning to do this on this map anyway? There's really no way to know, but since he did put down, he was quick to put down this expansion as well. Whoa, transferring over a lot of drones. Usually he only transfers 5, but I guess with the long distance that they had to run over there, that he decides to transfer, I believe that's 7, maybe 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's more than that. I'm ridiculous. But he transfers a lot over there. It's very unlike IdrA, but at the same time, he was kind of forced into this precarious position where he did have to end up to do that. End up doing that. We do see the +1 attack on the way, as well as Chrono Boost on the Warp Gate. I have a feeling this Overlord is going to absolutely survive. He decided not to get a Stalker out, and instead is getting a very heavily delayed Zealot. So I think that might be a little bit of a mistake out of MC, because he would have absolutely, I think, killed this Overlord if he was able to indeed get it out. I mean, the build time's 38 for a Zealot, and the Stalker, if Chrono boosted out, will be less than that. 42 overall build time. I don't know. I just feel like he could have killed off this Overlord. So potentially a lost chance there, especially since the Zerg tried to scout between the 6 and 8 minute mark. IdrA's already had that scouting, and he has saved the Overlord. Usually that's something where you actually have to sacrifice the Overlord. +1 attack, nearly done here. And a lot of drones in production. We do see a wave of 7 drones and a Roach Warren going down. I actually really like this out of IdrA. If you're a Zerg player, I would highly recommend, I mean, of course you should study all the top players because that's just a good way to learn, but also watching what IdrA's doing here, it's very, very fascinating to me where he was able to scout his opponent, see exactly what was going on, and then he says, okay, so I'm okay to drone here, I'm okay to get my metabolic boost a little bit late, and I'm going to be just fine. Now, a lesser player, say they do go for this IdrA build where they get a hatchery here at the 3-minute mark, and then they get another hatchery here at the 5 or 6-minute mark. They might just be crushed, and they look at it and they're like, what happened? How can they get away with this? A lot of it comes down to the scouting and kind of knowing exactly what's going to be headed your way. That's one of the reasons that scouting is indeed very important. We do see the Dark Shrine on the way, and where is that one placed at? Is it right there? Yes, it is in the center. If you're going up against a Terran, you wouldn't want to lay your buildings out like this, but against a Zerg, since Zerg don't have scans, they only have the slow-moving overlords, then putting it in the center of your base is ideal because then you can snipe the overlords equally in amount no matter which angle they come in from. So MC is looking to be in an okay spot here. He has does IdrA just have a Gosu sense tingling right now because he has a Spore Crawler going up, 2 Spore Crawler, or what's that? No, that's a Spine Crawler. He actually has a Spine Crawler going down there, 1 Spore Crawler here, and 1 right there. Now the positioning of this is telling me that he knows exactly what MC is doing. Now, a DT after expand, completely standard for Protoss to do. So it's not like IdrA's, you know, map hacking or anything. He knows that this is an option, but he's actually playing it exponentially safe. I don't really think exponentially is the correct word there, but we're just going to stick with it and pretend like everything's A-okay. He is playing about as safe as you can get. Now, the positioning of this is telling me that he knows a DT is a threat, because this is somewhere that a Void Ray is not really going to attack. They're going to attack directly into your mineral line, but if you have these just in range of everything, so like this is covering to about here, so it's able to see the DT even if it's attacking your mineral line. Here comes the DTs right now, but they have been spotted. 1 DT almost goes down there, but the response out of IdrA has been, it's pretty ghosty right now. He's even getting an Overseer right now. This DT is going to try and run inside the main base. Not a good choice, though. I think he needs to back out here and really kind of prevent himself from losing these DTs, because losing those is something that he really cannot afford to do. And you may ask, well, why can't he afford to do that? Well, he's invested so heavily into the Stark Templar tech, as when you go this build, it's basically what you do. God, those look like spleens or hearts or something. So gross! But anyways, it's something where you want to fall back and do exactly what he is doing, which is go directly for the double Archon, which can be pretty good. It's not like at this timing, though, it's going to be a very successful timing attack, because IdrA's third base, it is fully kicked in. It is fully operational, battle cruiser and StarCraft 1 style. Or what is it? I am fully operational? Something like that. I am fully operational. Something like that. Regardless, though, the horrible reference aside, this is really starting to kick in. That 4th hatch is done, just now finishing right here. And he could have actually put it right here to connect these 2 bases if he wanted to, but he could also do that with Overlords, which he may end up doing. You can see some creep being spread that way already. His creep spread isn't the best this game, but I think it's something that he doesn't really need to worry about as much because, I mean, he's going to be going up against Archon, so he doesn't need necessarily the speed as much as he needs to make sure he has the correct units for defense. +2 attack is done. We do not see a +3 on the way, really no upgrade on the way there. An armor upgrade could be okay, but attack upgrades tend to be a lot better versus Zerg. Unlike versus Terran, where the units are shooting really quickly, like the Marine, every shot that they're doing, you know, you're reducing it by 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. But with Roaches, they just shoot so slow. The fact that they do 18 damage without +1 upgrade, reducing that by 1 is a much less percentage that you're reducing it by. So you kind of want to just stack your attack upgrades, for the most part, to try and kill your opponent's army. Now, we do see fairly large armies out of both these players. It is 74 to 102. And a lot of that is Roaches out of IdrA. So if he goes up against Colossus, there could be a very powerful 2-base timing that IdrA may not be prepared for. But at the same time, IdRA's going to be maxed out here in 1 or 2 minutes at the most. He is getting dangerously close to max out. We don't really see any sort of Colossus tech on the way. Maybe sacrificing 1 Overlord here, but there should be a lot of Overlords to kind of recoup that. I don't even know if it did go down. I think that it did, but that's not going to be that big of a loss either, because IdrA has already compensated for it and made that. But it looks like MC is going to be going up against a fully upgraded, not really fully upgraded, but he has a lot of upgrades now, and a fully maxed out army. So this is a lot of Roach Hydra. There's really no Colossus here to deal with this. Where are the force fields? We have got to see absolutely perfect force fields. That one did a ridiculously amount of nothing. And no, what are you doing, MC? Completely out of position. The Zealots are not in position to defend this. They do have Zealot charge, but they already kind of burned it on that hatchery. And now the Zealots are going to be marching in here. I honestly think that MC needs to back up and find a better position, but he has whittled down the army just a little bit. Looking at the US loss tab is going to be very important during this battle. Blink is done as well. MC trying to do as much as he can here. And just looking at this, it just seems like he's not going to be doing exactly everything he needs to. And for some reason, the Control W not hiding my UI. I give up on trying to figure out when and when that does not work. But it does look like just the majority of Stalkers remain. So that's something that you're just going to have to watch out for. But the supply is only 99 to 180. Very rarely will someone be that far behind in supply and be in an okay spot. And it just comes down to he was never able to punish that third base. And really was kind of his natural, essentially, because he took it right away. And the +1 attack, +2 nearly done, which means he's going to have an upgrade. It'd be at least equal footing on the upgrades, but has still had that macro advantage. So this is something where he's going to have to leave this pylon, and both these pylons could get taken out. And considering that he is not supply blocked, it's something he may not want to do. He is going to try to engage here, only warping in a couple more reinforcements because that's all he can really afford right now. He could use some DTs in this army as there is no detection, but at this point, this army is stretching far and wide, which I think usually would favor a Protoss, but at this stage, it is favoring the Zerg. The Concave was too good, and the fact of the matter that every single unit was attacking there, and there was no Colossus. I mean, Zerg players, they usually want to engage. Wow, there's the good game. So, yeah, usually in an open field, it does favor Zerg, but the problem is that if you can't get a surround, kind of running head-on into line versus line, it can favor Protoss there, especially if there's some Immortals, but I think the unit composition was fairly good for IdrA right here with this Mass Hydra, Mass Roach, the +2, +0, so I guess the 2-0 upgrades, and he had some Roaches attacking over here, and I just don't get why I am so confused why I cannot do Control W in this replay, but I could in the other one. I don't know. So anyways, let me know down below. Do you want to see this smiling face? And I promise to clean up that mound of laundry that I have to do over there before I cast another series. But just let me know. Is this something you like? It may take a little bit more production value, so if it's really something that you don't like, then just let me know. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. It might be something that I do a little bit more often. I was thinking of recording videos with the webcam and just kind of uploading those for maybe updates or things that are going on, like upcoming tournaments, maybe some vlog type style stuff. Just talking about my feelings and how much badassery you guys are made of. So I think that this is all for now. I'm going to go ahead and cast game number 3. Man, I can't make those kind of mistakes when I'm on camera. Game number 3 between these two players, as it is currently tied up uno mas, which stands for one more. But regardless, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.